cannot stand these people that go up to government buildings, film them, and then just spout nonsense. They remind me of train spotters, but a more sort of special needsy train spotter. I can sort of see that, you know, the value in train spotting. I don't like it, and it would not be my thing. But I think, oh, okay, you know, it's their little thing, and whoever. And as an
Listen, Shaun, they're not out doing anything with kids. Okay, in 2024, if your hobby doesn't involve abuse, it's a pass. Okay, so big shout out to the train spotters who are normal people. Big shout out to you.
That's right. And but when it comes to these auditors that deliberately antagonising the police, in my day, they would have done that once and once only. They would have absolutely just, like I said, they would have been what we call bounced, and that was it. They would never ever do it again. So I cannot stand these, and they're gone about corruption. I see quite a few of these sites were exposing police corruption because the cop car is parked on a yellow line while they get McDonald's. That is not corruption. Let me put that right.
Dude, I would abuse the siren and be taking all of the drug dealers' monies, all of it, and running. And anytime I had to go anywhere, it'd be 90 miles an hour with a siren on. I would abuse so much. I'm just being honest. That's, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm saying, but I don't care. I'm not one interested. You know, so, and I was given a talk in a prison, and someone sort of said that, you know, you must have been. And I said, well, listen, if you want me to speak about things I might or might not have been involved in, first of all, you tell me all the crimes you've committed, and then you, by example, then I'll go from there. You know,
and I just want to say, like, that's. I'll be honest, that's happy corruption. Where did all Saddam's gold bars go? USA and UK Army. I'm just saying, there's probably some US and American Army soldiers who've got some nice houses.
Do you know one of the first jobs of the police in the City of London was to follow about the fire brigade when they took a call to make sure they didn't steal anything, right? And so the fire brigade had a reputation. They're called the London Fire Brigade, the LFB. We used to call them London's finest burglars.
No way.
I did an investigation that took me to New York, and I worked with the NYPD.
Yeah.
And one of the detectives, he said, John, it's exactly the same as London. I couldn't see any difference, except that there was Mexicans. It was like London with Mexicans.
Yeah.
And he said to me, how'd you get on with the it's quite a funny story, but he said, how'd you get on with the fire brigade? I went, we don't like them. And he said they're the biggest thieves in New York, the NYFD, you know. And I can always remember when I first joined the police, my first year, our inspector was an ex-traffic sergeant. So he was one of the traffic cops, and, you know, they really are the worst of the worst, you know. These are the train spotters. These are the auditors of policing, these guys.
Okay.
And he had this thing, he'd get a hard on for drink drivers every Christmas. And so he said, right, we're doing a roadblock this winter's evening in December. I was very new. And it was quite a strict job back then, quite a disciplined service.
Yeah.
And there'd been a briefing, and I hadn't really listened too much about it. Anyway, we're ground assigned on the street. A car gets put up. It's coming my way. I just hear my shoulder number 309, stop that car. So I pulled it in, and the guy that's driving is huge. He's a monster.
Yeah.
And he said to me, just nick me. I went, why should I just nick you? And he went, well, I'm drunk. I said, okay. How many you had? He said, I don't know. I haven't counted. I said, well, you better get out. And
no, he's a dad, right, whose wife is giving him a hard time, and he just wants a week off. All right, he just wants a week off, and if he has to go, if he's got to have 2 pints and drive recklessly for 60 yards to get that week off, he's getting it. He's getting it.
Well, listen to what happened. So he said, right, that's my job finished. I'm going to get banned. He said, and I'm not going to. I'm going to lose my job. I said, well, why? Why are you going to lose your job? And he said, well, I'm a sergeant in the parachute regiment. And I'm teaching. There was an army barracks nearby, and he said, I'm teaching the lads their PT. He said, if I can't have a criminal record and I can't be banned from driving, I'll lose my job. I went, have you got your ID cards? He said, yeah. So he showed me his army ID, and I went, wait there was something the inspector said about this. So I went up to my inspector. I said, Governor, please, can I take your advice? This guy's drunk. He went, well, nick him. I said, well, it's not that. He's in the army. He said, "Have you seen his ID?" I went, "Yeah." And he said, 309, the shoulder number. He said, "What did I tell you at the briefing?" He said, "Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, ambulance, police, let them go, fire brigade, nick them." And that was it. So I said, "No,
Damn.
you're in the army. You can go. Leave your keys with me.
Yeah.
Pick them
Now
up
I'll
at the
be honest.
station."
I would be corrupted, right, as a policeman, but I would be a psychopath to drunk drivers. All of that stolen money that I took, I'd be planting it on them. They'd all be going to jail for 10 crimes they didn't commit, and they would never drink drive again. I'm sorry. I don't like sober people who drive too fast. I mean, the motorway, okay. But man, I turn into a Karen real fast with people that don't drive
Well,
responsibly.
so one of the things I say is any officer that sort of around the time I joined and before, if they say that they've never committed perjury, they've never lied under oath in written evidence, bared false witness, false testimony, as the Bible says, is a liar. Is a lie. One of the first things you're taught in the police is to lie in evidence,
Yeah.
lie in your books. It's how it is. It's how it was.
Here's a moral
Before
dilemma question for you then. Okay. So in your scenario, none of this was your choice. You were following orders, right? So how much of that happens? Like, for example, what is the likelihood of a policeman saying to that superior officer, "Nah, I'm going to nick him anyway"? I mean, what would be the repercussions for you?
Yeah, it wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good. No one would work with you. It just
Oh yeah.
it wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. So one guy, he used to write his evidence separate. We'd all collude with the evidence. He'd write it separate, and that was it. He didn't last. You'd never get in the CID.
Yeah.
The CID would never, and then in the CID, you would never then get onto a specialist unit if you behave like that. It just would not happen. So that was it. But in respect to child abuse and covering up with the children, I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to be part of that. In fact, I was going to do the opposite. I was proactively going to go and expose that. Anyone that was involved in covering up child abuse, it stopped with me. And I dug my heels in and said, "No, this isn't happening. Don't matter what you do to me, you threaten me, whatever. I'm not having it. It's just not having it. It's just not happening." So I realised, the teeth that they've got when they want to, how spiteful they can get, and it's not about ruining your life. Sometimes it's about taking your life.
Yeah.
So this is why this Daniel Morgan case really intrigued me, because firstly, it was in a part of London where I first started my policing, southeast London. This guy, Sid Fillery, who was a detective sergeant at Catford. Maybe I brushed shoulders with him, maybe I didn't. And also there is one officer that gets caught up in this that did work with me at the same station. So, and I want to sort of, like we did on the last episode we did when we went on about the kids' homes, how actually you do get conspiracy of silence, and we sort of explain the dynamics where you've got those high up in the judiciary, in the procurator fiscal in Scotland and everything else, how the perversion that went on and how they covered it up because they're all in on it. I want to explain how police corruption works. And this is a very, very good example. It's all about wheels within wheels, and it always has been, and it always will be. So in March, beginning of March 1987, let's go back there, southeast London, there's a private detectives agency. It's called Southern Investigations, and it's run by two people, Jonathan Rees, who's a northerner from Doncaster, and we've got Daniel Morgan, who's Welsh. I don't know where in Wales he's from, but anyway, he's Welsh. And I don't know how comes they both ended up in London, these two, but they get together and sort of circa.
Hang on, John. That's next week's live stream.
What? Sid Fillery.
Yeah, we've got tonight is police corruption, and